So so just make sure. I understand, not everyone has their schedule built out until the end of April, beginning of May, but just communicate. That's all I'm asking. There's a couple guys, and if you're not getting emails, um, if you're not getting an email that says you have a new game, then please send Greg or me a text message or a mess or email so that we can check your account and make sure everything is where it's supposed to be, so that you're getting notified of new games, because maybe that's an issue also. But from here on out, basically, you should be checking Arbiter at least once a day just to make sure things haven't changed. There are a couple new um, quirks with Arbiter this year. If you've already accepted a game and maybe the field has changed or the time has changed, um, I'm going to make those changes. And since you've already accepted it, unless it's an hour difference, um, I'm just going to accept the game for you. If it changed from 3:30 to 4, I'm not going to send you an email and let you know that. The arbiter may still do that, or it may say you have a change, but I'm just going to accept it for you. If it's from 4 to 3:30, then I will have to have you accept that game again, because that's obviously a change. You may not have been prepared to leave work and be there at 3:30. But if it's a change later in the day, I'm going to leave it the way it is. If it's a change earlier, then I'm going to have you accept the game again. So you'll get an email for that. Uh, I just can't say it enough, guys. Just communicate with me. Send me a text, send me an email, give you a phone call, and I'll get back to you. I'll work with you. I need everybody to work. There are already several days where I have spots. We've had several injuries and retirements and galloped off into the sunset. So we're going to need everybody. There are many days where I have holes that I need to fill. And if you have a middle school game, you'll probably be moved to a varsity game, because we'll use those middle school games for our cadet class once they get done with the training, and some moves will be made. The only other thing I have is March 21st and 22nd. We have the World Series qualifier down at DE Turf. The majority of the assignments have been made. Please don't take it personally if you haven't gotten any games. It's not a huge tournament. It's only 8 fields, and there's only 7 games on each field. So it's hard to get everybody in there. If something happens, everybody's on the wait list. I'll do what I can. And then Sunday, it's only, I think, 6 fields with 4 games on each field. So don't take it personally if you didn't get invited this year. It's just it's getting smaller every year, and I do what I can. Other than that, that's all I got. Stay healthy, get out there, start running, have fun.
Very good. Thanks, JP. To clarify a couple things, when JP says your thing is notified, on the admin end of Arbiter, once games are published, when an assigner goes back and looks at the assignments, he'll see one of three statuses. It'll say published, which means it's been published and sent, but it hasn't been acted on at all. It says notified if you've looked at the game in the app or in the browser window. Okay. So Big Brother knows that you have looked at that game. And literally at that point, in our minds, it should be 12, 24 hours until you accept it. In most cases, it should be boom, because you had your availability marked right and everything's good. If there's a little travel thing or maybe something, with mommy, you gotta just work out, you know, we figure that's going to take you 12 to 24 hours. They shouldn't sit there as notified. Okay. Make sure you're looking at Arbiter a lot and make sure you've accepted your games. You don't have anything open. Sometimes when things get really hot and heavy, you miss the emails, one's sitting there. It just makes it easier. A note, all of you should have been getting 8 bazillion texts and emails about the new app. Okay. The new app is just the older app, just kind of a little beefier. It doesn't replace what you can do on the browser on your computer. It doesn't have uh, it doesn't show everything. It shows more than it used to, and it's a good tool. The other thing I would recommend is if you go into Arbiter into your settings, you can get a iCal or Google Cal link. And if you use Google Calendar, you can go in there and it will give you basically a link that will sync your Arbiter schedule with your Google Calendar link. And when, like JP talks about making changes, you know, it might be a 15-minute change, or it might be, you know, they're not playing, they're playing at the turf field down the street. You'll get the notification through that email and your email will be correct. The other good thing is, at least for me, Mama knows my schedule better than I do because I share my calendar with her. You know, before I left, she said, "You got 4 games this week, really?" It's only, so that's another tool to really help you keep on track of your schedule. Um, why am I moving here? Yeah, freeze. There we go. All right, scrimmages, assigning. The play day, March 7th, that's a play day on-field training combination thing. So today, most of you should have received assignments. They're not really in games, they're in 2-hour blocks. So this is a play day where games are going off like every 40 minutes. And we just put you in blocks. And you will be there from basically, I think, 9 to the latest is 3. Okay, and we'll just you work the games that are on your field. You'll see 6, 7 guys on a field. Trying to think. Dean and Mike are on one field with applicants. And Jake, do you remember who I put you with on the other field with applicants?
Lamar Gunn.
Who?
Lamar.
No. Look down, that experienced guy. Lamar's an applicant.
Only showed me.
All right. There's somebody else. So they'll stay with the applicants. The rest of you, I'm going to send out a kind of an alternative schedule during the week. So we're going to have 2 kind of pull-out trainings. One is Mark is going to do face-offs, kind of follow up on the face-off part we did with Boo last meeting. We're also we're going to have like a face-off, a guy locally who does training, and we're going to try and pull kids from teams over, to work on their face-offs, our face-offs. Maybe give this guy who does training an opportunity to build his training business a little bit and work with guys, and give some newer face-off guys, players, kind of a quick clinic, things like that. And then you all will have a chance to go over things on the field. These blocks will be like 40 minutes. So basically you'll walk from your field, other guys will cover your game, you'll go do this and come back. And then Andrew's going to do a little thing on athleticism. So tonight we have a little bit on warming up, recovery, things like that. He's going to work a little bit with us on moving on the field. How to keep focus on the game, but still move in different ways, and how to do that. He uses a big word like biometrics or something. I don't really understand. Biomechanics. How to turn, how to do stuff without A, looking really stupid and old and non-athletic, and B, without getting hurt, and AA, covering the field properly all the time.
The face-off rule, we're not touching the stick anymore. Because I noticed in the college games they are.
We would recommend you don't touch it. We try to avoid touching the sticks, but there's times for expediency you can. And the rule does say verbal or physical movement. If you're gonna touch the player or the stick, do it with respect. We showed videos a couple years ago of guys kicking sticks, to get them in position. Don't do that. That's like incredibly disrespectful to a guy. If a guy is not setting up right and he doesn't understand, just take his stick and gently, move it a little bit, pull it up straight. That gives them A, they understand, and B, it's quicker than trying to say, 5 times, move your stick. Because the more you have to correct them, half the time what happens is you spend, 5 seconds correcting one guy, you finally get him right, set, the other guy jumps because he's been right for so long. So we want to be fair. So, try and do that. If you didn't get an assignment, it was either because you were blocked or other reasons. If you didn't get one, make sure you call me. I'll make sure you get one in that play day. So that combines like 4 different play days we used to cover all throughout the state in one place. And then it also takes care of some of our on-field training that we need. Other scrimmages will be assigned quickly this week. I'm kind of waiting. I have a pretty good sense of where my applicant class is, so I'm gonna start to fill some of those in the right spots to get those games. If you do a scrimmage, you're doing whatever coach wants. Okay, you don't have to go. It's not always going to be a regular game. Sometimes they might just want you to stand there and do man up, man down.
Hey, Greg. Greg,
Yeah.
can you speak a little bit closer to the microphone, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Sometimes you may be working on clearing. Sometimes they'll do 15-minute running quarters, just kind of do with them. The way the structure is in the contract in the state is you're there for 2 hours. If they only do one game and you're done, you can go. But if they play a game and say we want to play a 5th quarter and they've only been out there for an hour and 35 minutes, please stay. Don't just leave. Okay. This is their way, our way of making sure everybody's prepared for the season. If you have problems at scrimmages, let me know. Certainly work guys through things at scrimmages. Also, it's a good time, if you see something really ridiculous or bad sportsmanship wise, this is the right time to warn quick and flag and let people know it'll be there. Once we get going with the season, you might be a little bit more on the warning end of things. But in this case, don't ruin the flow of the game, but make sure we're very corrective in what we're doing. Always offer to answer questions. Kids have questions, coaches have questions. I always tell them, ask at the right time, ask in the right way. There should be a lot more right times in a scrimmage. All right. All the scrimmages are handled through us. So either through JP or myself. There's a few days that are really busy. And if you're in another scrimmage and your friend who's a coach calls and says, oh, well, he says, I can't get anybody, talk to us. We want to cover the scrimmages. We won't cover a scrimmage with any less than 2 guys. It's just not safe. All right. And then the payments, Dean will work out so that we all get some payment, but also a bulk of that goes into the treasury and pays for the banquet at the end of the year.
Do you have bill twos for the play day?
It'll be DE turf. I'll put it in there.
Oh, they're paying, they're not billing school.
No, we're billed right to DE turf. So I'll go in there and put it in there. Dragonfly. If you go to Dragonfly right now, hopefully you've been in there and paid all your stuff. But the test that's in there right now is part 1. I'm not going to try and explain this because it makes 0 sense to me what they're doing. It's a practice test. Take it as many times as you want. Answer the questions. I think it's the same test as part 2, which opens on March the 16th. That's the one that counts. Okay. So if you take it now and get 100, okay, after March 16th, it should show you don't have that done until you finish it. And we'll have up until we'll only have like a week to finish it. So make sure you kind of have that slotted out. If you weren't at the grotto, the clinic is online. So you can listen to JP with the new rules. If you forgot or you want to review, it's there for you to take.
Does that practice test give you the answers with everybody?
I have no idea.
It just tells you the ones you got wrong and it tells you which section it's in.
Just like the regular test.
Like I said, I don't understand it. Particularly for Maryland guys. Okay. Again, don't ask me to explain. Don't give me shit for this because it's not my idea. I've tried to push them the other direction like it's been in the past. To get credit in Delaware, you have to take that part 2 that opens March 16th. The Maryland will accept your result for that test. Okay. But you have, for Delaware credit, you have to take the part 2 in Delaware. So if you're a Maryland guy, take the test March 16th, 17th, whatever, send me your results page. I'll forward them to the MPSSAA. I've already spoken with Ken Kazmarek, who's the coordinator of officials, and we're all good with that. You'll just have to get your test, you'll have a couple days to get that done. If you have questions, ask me. Also, if you paid the NFHS side in Maryland, send me proof. A couple guys already have. I send those to DIAA, and eventually they'll check that off for you and you'll be fine. But I also keep a record of that. So if they ever ask me why this guy hadn't paid NFHS, I can say, here, I sent you this 3 weeks ago and you didn't do nothing with it. So we're good. Everything has to be done by March 24th, 21st in order to officiate. I'll start sending out reminders in the next week or so if you're missing stuff. Okay.
So to be clear, the test opens the 16th and closes the 21st? No,
21st, 23rd, I think it is.
but it's 16th to the 21, 23?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make sure we're clear on that. It might even be on our calendar.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a thought just came from my mind. On Saturday, when we go to DE Turf, are they charging to park? So they're giving us an officials area?
I'll check. We'll have an officials area. I think they're waiving the parking fee. So just to give you a little background, DE Turf is very aware that their reputation as a place for people from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland to come hang out on weekends in Delaware. And, they're trying to kind of work on that a little bit. And the guy who runs it is actually a lacrosse guy. He's big on promoting, especially Southern Delaware lacrosse. So he's trying very hard with all sports, particularly lacrosse, to have more opportunities for Delaware people to be there. They're Delaware players. So that's kind of what's behind this. He's also working on like a middle school year-end championship tournament, even though the regulations say you can't do that. He's trying to do some things down there, to be really the Delaware turf and not the Northeastern, except for Delaware turf. So I don't think he's going to charge for parking. Okay. All right. Any questions on any we talked about for problems, situations? All right. We're going to start off with a little situation. Kind of want you to watch this for a second. This is something that happened last year. It wasn't anything terrible or bad, but it was an interesting situation and it gets you thinking how we want to handle some things. Before I do that, I'm going to stop the share for a second. I just realized something. Check all them boxes. All right, is my PowerPoint up there now again, Chris?
No, we see your arbiter.
You see Arbiter? What the fuck? All right, let's fix this. No, I know why. Hold on.
Everyone sign in?
All right, PowerPoint should be up there now.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. All right, so what do we think happened there? Take a look. We're gonna back it up a little bit. See if you can find out where the ball went. Find it yet?
If you're down back of the net, outside the net,
It's right there. Middle of that circle, right between his legs. All right. Let me see if I can pause this real quick.
So it was a shot.
Yep. All right. I'm trying to stop it for a second. Hold on. All right. So it looked like a shot. The goalie followed it. Okay. I followed it. We got down there. And all of a sudden somebody yells and the ball's laying in the, well, by then it was in a defenseman's stick or defensive mini stick in the crease. Okay. So it kind of, if you look at it slow and try to follow the ball, it took kind of a crazy hop and kind of came up the one guy's uniform and then dropped down. Nobody really knew what it was for a second. Okay. So in that situation, who gets the ball?
The whistle blow.
Defense.
I couldn't hear the whistle because the ref.
Okay, there was a whistle, and I actually pointed that way, gave them the ball, because I thought it was a shot. The ball was in a defenseman's stick in the crease.
So defense gets the ball. You blew the whistle.
Exactly.
As long as he didn't pick it up and carry it in, unless you.
Well, we had no idea, but by the time we figured out what was going on, that's where the ball
Right.
obviously was.
Yeah.
Okay, where's the restart?
Right there.
Okay, everybody understand? And Lewis, you understand? Are we good with that? So we're gonna give the ball back to the defense. And we're gonna restart in the crease.
We agree.
Okay, now let's throw a wrinkle in there. In the middle of all that, we can't figure out what the hell happened. It was transition, so we call a timeout. Officials timeout, timeout. We come together, okay, talk about it till we finally decide what we're gonna do, and we do decide that the defense should get the ball. Now where's the restart? Let's let Lewis answer this one.
Say that again.
say that the wrinkle was, I didn't hear.
What was the wrinkle again, Greg?
We called an officials timeout
Okay.
to sort out what happened, because we really didn't know what happened.
Where was the
So
ball?
we blew the whistle, called a timeout, came together as a crew to talk about it. Okay, we did determine that the defense should get the ball.
Goal line
Where
extended.
are we gonna restart it now?
Goal line extended, right?
Outside, the ball was in the crease.
And it's in the crease, you
It
started.
started in the crease. Ball was in the crease, started with the goal. Because you can determine who would have had possession at the time of the whistle. You can start with there.
We've determined it's going to the defense. We called a timeout.
Understand what your wrinkle.
The wrinkle is the timeout.
Or adjacent to the crease.
So rule 4, I think, section 25 about restarts after timeouts. We're going to put the ball laterally outside the box. The defense will restart. So that's the wrinkle. That's the thinking part of it. Regardless of how you do it, even if we didn't call a timeout and figured out it immediately, it went to the defense in the crease. We don't want to give too fast of a restart. We want to make sure everybody understands what's going on. You know, that the defense is getting the ball, it's going to be in the crease. To me, the nightmare scenario is the defense doesn't really know we're restarting in the crease or next to it. You blow the whistle and boom, turnover goal. You know, so that's a place. There's a lot to unpackage here, right? Okay. Obviously, there was a inadvertent whistle. You know, whistle never should have blown. I never should have blown the whistle. I don't. It was foggy, rainy. It's Middletown Stadium. Everything was going bad, right? And everybody lost the ball. The goalie went right. You know, he didn't. I think it might have hit him or hit his stick at one point. Okay, he went to run it out. The attackman went to run it out. You know, we awarded the ball. And then all of a sudden realize, wait, and I'm thinking, is that a second ball? Like, was there a ball in the goal? We had no idea. And again, we're transitioning on a cold night, so we're not all in the best position. So we had to call a timeout to get together and figure out what to do.
So, just a quick question. What happened after the kid picked the ball up? Did he try and make a pass?
No, nobody knew.
So if you blew the whistle, he just had it in his stick.
He just had it in his stick. So it was kind of it was an odd situation because I don't even think they really knew the ball was between the kid's legs, laying there in the crease for a couple of seconds. Everybody followed us. And then it was like, wait, there's a ball.
He was in the crease?
The
With the
defensive
ball
play.
between his legs?
It was laying in the crease when I blew the whistle.
He hadn't gone into the crease to become a goalie. yet.
Didn't know. No, the ball was passed. There was no reason to be a goalie. He was looked down, there's the ball. So it's one of those crazy situations, but it's good to sometimes talk about these things when they happen. And then, my brain starts, okay, what if this? And what if that? Okay, if that happened, what if this? And you kind of play them out in your mind, and it will tend to help you get through other situations, and this is going to lead us to the next part, I hope. All right. So George has figured out that I'm in my car at like 5:15 in the morning and ring, 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 George, with something he saw over the weekend on TV, something that happened in a game he had, questions he had. And in talking to George even more, he's got a couple other guys that, they have dialogues about situations. And they think about what could happen, this, that, and the other thing. So I was going to ask George to take 10, 15 minutes just to kind of go over some of what, his thought process is and how it's helped him in officiating. So George,
Great.
you want to come up here?
Sure.
And I'll go over here.
Typo on the last name, but that's okay. It's FOR. not
I'll
F-
check that.
Spell check said it was all right. All right, one of the things that Greg and I were talk about a lot is, do you guys hear me okay in Lewis? Yes,
Yes.
I guess so. Okay.
Say right
One of
here.
the things is we're constantly doing quick side story before we get started. There's a guy named Jerry Markbright. When I was 18 years old, I started refereeing basketball. And there was a guy named Jerry Markbright. He was an NFL official, and he would go jogging, and he would, during his jog, he jogged 5 miles every morning. In his head, he would start going through different scenarios about games. What if the quarterback gets hit? What if he gets blindsided, et cetera? And so he'd go through that constantly. Then and then what ended up happening was, he had a game situation. He had I think the quarterback threw an interception, and then he got slammed to the ground, et cetera, et cetera. That situation happened during the season. Because he had done it through his mind, he already knew the scenario. He made the call exactly right. Later that season, he gets a call from the NFL, and they said, you did everything so perfectly. We're awarding you the Super Bowl this year. And he was awarded the Super Bowl. And then he wrote a book called Born to Referee. And it's a fantastic, the book's probably 30 years old. It's a fantastic book, but he talks all about doing scenarios in your head. And so that's what I always do. And I had a game situation where I had a middle school game, a very quick, for instance, middle school game, team shoots. It's awarded to A. A's behind the net. They're getting ready to restart. A calls timeout. Okay, White calls timeout. We kill it. Now we go back. Now we're about to restart after the 2 minutes. They're getting ready to restart. B, the opposing team calls timeout. And I thought to myself, are they allowed to call timeout? They don't have the ball in their stick. Anybody know the answer? Yes, because it's a dead ball. Okay, so now they go back, and then now we have the 2 minute thing. The other team comes back up. All right, A's got the ball. We're getting ready to start, and all of a sudden they don't have the right players on the field. Is A, the white team, are they allowed to call a timeout again?
No.
Why not?
You can't call two again.
You can't call 2 timeouts. We used to call in basketball double back. You can't double back. You can't call a timeout on top of a timeout. So, but all that was going through my head. Now, luckily, the team didn't call timeout. We had an A called timeout, then B called timeout. A did not call timeout. So, but in my head, I was going through all these scenarios. So I started to think about it the next morning. I called Greg as he's driving to work, and we start going through these scenarios. Point being is that try and find a buddy in our refereeing group. If you need a buddy, you're always welcome to call me. I always love talking about rules. I go through it. I have a buddy. We have a bunch of people I talk to about this. When we have during my game, a lot of times during my games, I'll talk to my partner and I'll say, listen, at halftime, think of a crazy rule and let's try and dissect it. Give me a scenario and we'll quiz each other. And a lot of times I'll say, damn, I don't know that, but I'm going to look it up and I'm going to text you tonight what the answer is. Okay. So that's, I'm a big rules guy. So I like to, because I think we're constantly trying to learn, constantly. And I think the buddy system is really, really a good way to doing it. One thing that they say I'm not a teacher, but they say in teaching, if you tell me, I'll forget. If you show me, I may remember. If you include me, I'll never forget. So all these scenarios happen in my games. And I've been reffing almost 10 years now for lacrosse. And so all these are happening in my game. So I'm included in the game, so I'm never going to forget it. I strongly recommend, I have a notebook here. I do all my refereeing and then I highlight it. I'll write notes down, different scenarios, and then last year, I think at this meeting, Greg had a Jeopardy and I just went through my notebook and started pulling out questions that we had on the Jeopardy questions on all about the rules. One that I had today, I just was at the North Carolina UNC game today, and I'll throw this out.
They played themselves?
I'm sorry. North Carolina played Princeton at Princeton UNC, and the game was at Princeton. It was a great game. If you get a chance to watch, it was fantastic. I was rooting for both teams. So I had a Princeton watch and I had a UNC watch. I was rooting for both teams. Yes. I sat on the 50-yard line. It was great. But we had a situation. The attackman, the attackman is behind the net. They shoot. He loses his stick. The white attackman loses his stick. Now it's a race to the ball, correct? Because who's ever closest to the ball on a shot gets awarded. The man without his stick starts running for the ball so that he can be closest to the ball, even though he doesn't have his stick. What's the ruling?
He's not a player.
He's not a player.
But does he become invisible? Meaning like he's out of bounds, he's not a player?
No,
Go ahead, what's the ruling?
he doesn't have he doesn't have all of his equipment, so he's considered a non-player.
Right.
That's a very good answer, but it's not the right answer. Well, it's not the right answer today. It's considered illegal procedure playing without a stick. No, but that's different than he's invisible.
Well, no, as he's trying to go to the ball, he's engaged in the play, which he can't be without a stick, so it's illegal procedure.
Okay, but I thought I misunderstood your answer. I thought let's say he runs and he's out of bounds before the ball goes out of bounds. Okay, like another scenario. Team shoots. White is closest to the ball. He's running for the out of bounds. White goes out of bounds, and then the ball goes out of bounds. Who's closest to the stick?
That's the Blues. Where's the next
The next guy, blue, is next to him, but
Then it's Blues ball.
then it's blue because I say if he's out of bounds, he's invisible. He's not there. If he drops his stick and runs after the ball, he's not invisible. He's playing without a stick.
He didn't make contact with anybody?
No, he didn't make contact with anyone. He dropped his stick. He realized he was closest to it, so he started running.
And they called that legal procedure?
But
They called it-
it's a different situation because he's engaged in the play. Okay? It's not like without your stick and you step back and wait, you're taking yourself out of the play. He engaged himself in the play.
And I have had that second scenario a couple of times.
Oh, yeah, so.
Where the kid runs full speed and runs out of bounds, and the ball slow goes out of bounds, he's already out of bounds.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the one that you can expect to have happen, especially when kids, two of them are running and one of them is a stride ahead. If the kid who's a stride ahead goes out of bounds before the ball does, he just shot himself in the foot.
Exactly right. Yeah. But all of these are scenarios that come up. We just had one, I had one last season, and I'll throw this at you. The player breaks his stick and he turns to run to exchange the stick. He runs to the box he thought he had to exchange it in the box to get a good stick. Okay. I told the player, because he was my son after the game, you could have just went to the end of the bench and got and exchanged sticks right there. Where can you exchange the stick?
There's a difference between exchanging sticks and not having a stick and going and recovering one. If you don't have a stick, like you said, broken stick, you don't have a stick.
Right.
As compared to a long pole who runs over to the bench to exchange with his coach to get a short pole to go, or a short stick to go back and play. That has to be done at the
In the
substitution areas.
No, it doesn't. No. If you
one doesn't have the ball, then it's from the sideline.
it's anywhere between the coach's box, which is 5 yards below the restraining line, through the penalty box. So he can go, his teammate could go through the penalty box, even though, and meet him at the other end and do the exchange. Follow? So he has a very, very large area and he can exchange with it, provided the ball's not in his stick. Now, here's a scenario. My son was a goalie. So he ran off the field, ran through the box to exchange to get a good stick, and then turned around and ran back. And he was worried because the play was at the other end of the field. He wanted to get back in time. So we looked it up. If a goalie has a broken stick, he could have just turned to the ref and said, ref, my stick's broken.
Stop play.
They kill the play. Follow?
Yeah.
All of these are scenarios that happen in my game or a game I'm watching. Then I look it up for 2 days and then I call Greg and then we go through it.
So in
Go ahead.
in your son's case, the officials didn't kill the play?
They didn't know that his stick was broken. They didn't know. So that's what I told him. I said, you should have.
Behind the play.
He was well, it didn't matter where it would have been, but he was
behind the play. That's why they didn't see it.
correct. Yeah. But he turned and he ran through the box. And I said, number one, you didn't have to run through the box. And number two, because you're a goalie, that wasn't, they could have killed the play right there. Okay. So point I'm getting at is I'm a bit of a rules nerd and I write all these notes I take notes in my notebook. So I'm just kind of sharing all this with you. Last thing I did, do a lot of you guys have a tape measure, and you guys in Lewis can't see this. I have our Delaware Lacrosse Association tape measure. When we do our stick check, have you ever seen, I'm always impressed. Some of the guys take black magic markers and they put a mark on the stick, on their tape measure where's it going to be? Okay. But it's a black Sharpie, but I don't know if it's going to be, if they have a black mark at 4 inches, is less than 4 inches good or is less than 4 inches bad? We don't know. So what I did with my tape, and I'm sharing this little trick with you. What I did is I put it at 4 inches. I put green between 3.5 and 4, and red between 4 and 4 1/4. So now when I measure the 4 inch, what I'm measuring is the head, the laces in the head. You have 4 inches, right? There's a green area and a red area. So if I go to measure it and it's 4 1/4, it falls in the red area. That's an illegal stick. So just a little tidbit, little thing. So 40 inches. 40 inches is a big number, right? Put a red in less than 40 and a green for over 40. Little trick I learned, but just thought I'd share it with you. So that's all I've got. Last thing is I have a podcast. It's called The Lax Ref Podcast. Okay. I've already got 2 podcasts up online. You can see it on Apple Play. You can listen to it on YouTube. We have a video. I've interviewed 2 of our Delaware officials. I strongly recommend. I'm opening up. Anyone wants to be on it? Give me a call. We go over rules. We go over pregame. It's just a fun way to think and talk about lacrosse. Okay, you're welcome to listen to it. It's free to listen to. Just reach out to me if you guys want to be on it. New officials, I'd love to talk to new officials. Seasoned guys, I'd love to just get some things. So Yes,
Since you're talking about rules, I do have a question.
sure.
The wording of the rule, which says that a long pole may not jump in the crease to block a shot.
Right.
Does that, the wording on it sounds like that would also include a defensive player who is outside the crease and stands knowing that a guy has to shoot through it.
Hmm.
That happened to me last year,
And
and I didn't call it.
Right.
He wasn't in the crease.
correct. I've seen a lot of these guys, you see them give up their body and they jump in front of the shooting ball. That's all legal. So it's only if he's in the crease that it becomes.
Now, what if the goalie's in the crease and the defender jumps in the crease with it?
In college, that's allowed. In high school, that's not allowed.
But that could happen.
And I could talk all night. Thank you for listening. Thanks, guys. I appreciate
Yeah, and that's the example that he brings up, and I can't find it really quickly. But the way I understand it is, if a player enters the crease with the perceived, your perception, your judgment, intent of playing goalie, that's the technical foul. If he jumps across to block a ball going in, if he's in front of the crease, it's not. But it has to be in the crease. You
Greg, it's
have
not-
to judge. He did that intent to play goalie.
Greg, it's not a technical foul. It's an unsportsman, or it's a illegally equipped 1 minute.
It's now, you're right.
It's an equipment violation.
Yep, it's now an unsportsmanlike. Okay. So George, thank you very much. One thing I will add,
It's a minute equipment.
It's now an equipment violation because.
What's the illegal equipment? Oh, it's
Illegal
the-
equipment, 1 minute non-release.
1 minute, yeah, it's just. 1 minute.
1 minute non-release.
So what's the hand gesture?
isn't the first time,
No.
they don't get a first time anymore? Okay, good.
So what's the gesture? The hand gesture. Equipment.
Dumb ass.
Well, yeah.
I really,
Procedure. It's illegal procedure.
I would say it's illegal procedure, or it could be, almost unsportsmanlike conduct playing with illegal equipment or something.
It's under,
Okay. One last thing to follow with George is if you're a social media guy, there's lots of good stuff on social media. There's lots of bad stuff. There is on Facebook a page called, I don't know what it's called, something about, US lacrosse referees. That is a good page. You have to be vetted to get on it. If you're on Facebook and you search, actually, if you would go to my profile, you'd probably see it on there somewhere. If you can't find it, let me know. I'll friend you and make sure I sent you an invite. I sent George an invite. But they're putting up little daily thought quizzes like this every day to get you thinking. There's just a lot of good kind of content on there. It's for referees. Like if you go on there and start spouting something as a coach, they're gonna throw you right off of it. So it's for referees. It's a good little page. All right. The next part, one of my big things is we always want to be looking, right? Our eyes should always be on the field, always be on the players. So I want to look at a couple situations real quick having to do with that. Okay. So we always want to have our eyes up. Expect the unexpected. Okay. A game can be going along just fine, and then all of a sudden, wham, some kid's laying on the ground holding his testicles. And you weren't looking. And you're kind of stuck at that point. Maybe you think you know what happened. Of course, everybody's going to say you got nut job. Expect the unexpected. And then there's some times to really turn your radar up. Flashpoints after a goal. A lot of bad things happen after goals. Okay. The guy scoring the goal says something stupid. The defenseman says something stupid. Get a late hit. You get a push, you get a shove, whatever it is. End of periods and timeouts. Times when they come together, right? They're going to cross. They're going to, a lot of times, especially a timeout or end of quarter, something really exciting happens at the end. All right. We want to really be looking then. Okay. Get to our spots and watch. when you feel that momentum shift, right? All of a sudden, a team fires in their fourth goal, you know, and all of a sudden the game has changed like that. That's when these things happen. Big hits when you get into the last 2 minutes, or when you start to hear a lot of chirping. Bennett has his hand up. Nah, that's all right.
No, I need to clarify. I need to clarify something. Please don't call the goalie unsportsmanlike. It's just a 1 minute non-releasable equipment violation. It's not unsportsmanlike, because if you call that unsportsmanlike and he gets another one, you have to eject him. That is not an unsportsmanlike penalty. It is just a 1 minute non-releasable equipment violation.
Okay, thank you. We'll find out the signal. We're gonna finish with this, okay? We'll figure out the signal, all right? George will spend the next 4 days figuring out a signal. All right. So this is an end of period thing, right? Don't relax just because you hear the horn. Isn't it kind of a normal thing? Like you get to the end of the quarter and okay, I can relax. I got 2 minutes. I can go talk to my buddies. I can tell them a dumb joke. No, don't relax. Okay. These are the kind of things that happen after the horn sounds. And you don't hear it, there's no sound, but the horn had already sounded. Okay. And he shot significantly, 2 or 3 good breaths after the horn sounded. All right. And, you know, you get that started. If you were the trail and you had already turned to go walk back, if you were the lead and you walked away, you know, whatever it is, you might miss that. Next thing you know, you turn around and you've got the big kerfuffle going on in the crease. Okay. They got in there, shit was going on, they got their flags thrown, they got it under control. Okay. So make sure, you know, when that horn sounds, keep your focus. Okay. Whoever's the trail should back to the midline to watch the crossing. You know, always be listening. Okay. One other situation with that kind of crossing thing, and I couldn't find a good video with that. So a lot of time when something's exciting happens, all of a sudden everybody from this bench here comes running to the midline to meet their players, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, the backup goalies, okay, are there. They shouldn't be there. Okay. So your job should be immediately get them back to their bench. Situation last year where we had an injured captain, a very good player. He's out there all of a sudden chirping at the other team. He doesn't belong out there, right? Try to get him back, try not to flag it, but if he won't or he continues, that's a quick flag. Those guys don't belong on the field. And if you allow that, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Okay. So always be looking for these kind of things. All right. All right. This is basketball, but this is the kind of thing that happens. Okay. And would you have seen it? So let's watch it one time, and if we see what happens.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. In our game in a bigger field, all the focus is down at the goal. Yeah, that's why we might not. So when you have a play like that and you have this random couple guys up here, you've got to back up and open up your vision. Okay. Those are the kind of things that happen kind of behind you. Don't ever let the players get behind you. Okay. Well, I wasn't even sure and I don't know what they're called, but the trail guy, I don't even think he may not even have seen, I think he saw the guy go down and he assumed what happened. Okay. You know, this is another time too. Usually those things don't happen in a vacuum, right? That guy didn't just walk up and say, you know what? I've had it today. I'm just going to punch the lights out of that guy. I'll bet you that guy said something. They've probably been going at it the whole game. And that's where your radar has to be up and stop it, you know, and try to be as preventative with that stuff as you can. All right, next one. All right. So Timeouts end of quarter. Get to the crossing point, be big, get the teams back to the bench area. Don't stop looking till both team is near the sideline, near the restraining line. Get them apart. Okay, get them back. All right. Warn all the bench players and coaches get off the field. Don't relax at the sideline. Sometimes teams want to come up and all the way near the top of the box in the middle of the field. Tell it, coach, we need to take our timeouts over here. We need to be consistent with that. Get them all over to the spot, kind of where the restraining line crosses their sideline is the best spot for them to be. Okay. And we don't want to relax until we get to that point. Why do I have to keep doing that? All right. How would you handle this situation right here? Okay. Andrew, I'm sorry for using this. And JP. Well, not JP.
Long pass.
What up?
Right on the money. In front goal. That did not go in.
Must have went through a hole.
We're gonna have a stoppage of play. No goal signal.
Because the ball ended up way back there, Mike, but maybe it went through the net.
Cape coaches are calling for a goal, but no signal from the referee. So
I mean, they gotta
hang on tight.
They would have to find a hole in the net.
No goal.
Yep.
So there's no goal on the play. It may have hit the side of the net. We're tough this out from here.
Good job by the officials on checking to see if it was a hole in the net.
Vikings maintain possession here.
Okay. So, and the commentators are right. It was very, and it's Andrew right here, and he looks, and I think he knew what happened. We talked about it afterwards, and I think he kind of knew it, but at that point, some time on, he didn't really know what to do as a Midland official. 4 or 5 years in, never had that situation. And this is, it's a fast break. It's a rainy, crappy, crummy day. They checked the net. Okay. There was a hole. They missed it, but they checked it. Okay. What I did tell Andrew is go with your first gut. I would have rather seen you call the goal and then check it and not find a net and say, oh, nope, we're good. But I think if you knew it was a goal, but we want to come together. We want to check it very carefully. It's also that, he probably put that hole in there. There was a big telltale splash in the back of the net, and that's, again, always be looking, try to find those types of things, get together, and get it right. So,
Can you play one more time?
Yeah.
Long pass.
What up?
Right on the money. In front goal. It did not go in.
Must have went through a hole.
We're gonna have a stoppage of play. No goal signal.
And so the thing is, so they said maybe it hit the back.
There, Mike, but maybe it went through the net.
Cape coaches are calling for a goal, but no signal from the referee. So
Hang
hang on tight.
They would have to find a hole in the net.
No
They ended
goal.
up calling it no goal.
So there's no goal on the play.
Huh? The hole was right where you saw the puck.
It may have hit the side of the net.
Good-
We're tough this out from here.
Good job by the officials on checking.
So
to
was it
see
a
if
goal? It should have been a goal.
It should have been a goal.
It should have been a goal.
Vikings
You called it
possession
no.
here.
Should have been a goal. It was called no goal. But again, in everybody's defense, it's a fast break. And it was a fast break. If Andrew couldn't keep up with a fast break, none of us were even coming close. I'm telling you right now. So it was one of those super bang things, and you're running and moving. So if he's there, the single, is and he's counting and all that, just didn't have a lot of eyes on it. They talked about it, the net's wet and gooey. They didn't see the hole, but keep your eyes up. We want to try to avoid those. In the end, if you saw that game, didn't matter. All right. So let me give you a situation. Okay. We're in a playoff game. The black team is winning by a goal. We're under 2 minutes. White has 1 timeout. Black is out of timeouts because they just called a timeout. The white bench is at the far end of the field from where you're going to restart. Okay. For a second, you guys in low stoop getting threes. somebody be the referee and go through what you would talk to your crew about in that situation. We'll take 2 minutes to do that. So kind of triple up. All right, what would you tell, if you have to get fours, that's fine. What would you tell your crew? What are some launching? White has the ball on offense. Okay, under 2 minutes.
They don't keep it.
George, you know this. You're restarting at G, let's say you're restarting at GLE on the far side.
Hey, Greg,
Yeah,
what end of the field does White have the ball on? Their defensive end or their offensive end?
White is on offense. They're on their offensive end. If you're standing in the box, it's gonna be the left end of the field. Their bench is on the right end.
Just have
Got
the
that?
trail listen for timeout. That's what it's gonna be all about. Yeah.
All right, take about 30 more seconds.
That's right.
All right. So let's start in Lewis. Somebody, what's one thing you would tell your crew right away?
Kenny?
Midfield.
Roll out.
Have a trail near the box.
Have a trail near the box, waiting, listening for timeout.
Okay. All right. What's one thing you guys hear in Bear had? Something different from that.
White has ball?
White's gonna start with the ball.
Oh, that's everything. They got 10 to get it in.
We have what, say loud? Okay, we have to tell them to get it in and keep it in.
No, wait.
No,
Black's winning.
White's winning. Black's winning.
I'm sorry, Black has the ball. Black ball. I got my black and white mixed up. So take another minute, go over again. Black has the ball. All right. Let's go, everybody come back. So we already got from Lewis that, is a 3-man crew, the trail needs to pay attention to timeouts. Something there, what do you got? Important to do. Make sure everybody knows. They have 10 seconds to get it in, they have to keep it in the box. What else?
So we're keeping an eye on it, then step out the box.
Which, okay, so they said have the trail come up closer to the substitution box so he could hear a timeout from White. Okay, normally when we have keep it in, where does the trail go? Right, puts him, so if you're gonna tell the trail to back up and get a little closer, are you gonna tell somebody else to do something a little different than they would probably normally do in their positioning?
I would probably be on goal official, I would tell Stinch his, according to what you're saying, if the ball's on the opposite side, because it's gonna pull out the single side official.
At first, but also I think we would tell the single side official that when the ball goes on the other side, you've got to help cover the top of the box. Right? What are we gonna tell the white coach?
I'm listening. Timeout, White.
Make sure you're very loud and clear. Are we gonna allow him to do something differently than he can do in the rest of the game? I'm telling him, you can come out and get us. Okay, be animated, be loud, be good, okay?
Is that in
And,
the high school rule book yet?
huh?
Is that in the high school rule book yet?
It's in my rule book. He,
No,
if,
but that'd be a good suggestion.
if you want, okay, I'll send you the memo there. No, it's good, especially, it's a playoff atmosphere, it's loud. Give him that latitude, it goes a long way to say, hey, you know, we're right down there, don't be afraid to come all the way down and get us. You know, if you want to. Black has the ball, okay? But if they get a situation where they're, let's say the ball hits the ground, they pick it up real quick, what if they want a timeout? Are we gonna, you know, now let's see what happens.
Yeah, I've had the coach come out and stand right next to me. So that if they do get it.
Okay, so this is after the restart.
Yeah.
It was a very good pass. Okay. I don't know that I would have called a push there. He kind of caught him on the side. He stumbled a little bit. The other guy kind of got him on the side. Late in the game. I was okay with passing on that in that situation. That's a big call. You know, because it ends the game. Okay. But take that little part out. We could debate that all night with George. He'll probably call at 5 in the morning, ask him that question. But take out. So we missed a big timeout, right? All right. So we with a good discussion, we can maybe prevent that. I want to ask you one other question. Let's look at it one more time and think about at the point, the positions they were in, who's in the best position to see that guy call a timeout? The single side. So we've got the lead and the single watching 3 guys. He could back up and position himself in such a way, because if the guy comes out at timeout, he could say he had timeout, he had, you know, and know that he had it. And it was obvious that there was that delay in recognizing, because the white kid stops playing. He thinks he's got a timeout. The black kid stopped playing for a second. Everybody stopped. Except us. And we continued on.
Well, the trail shouldn't have been where he was. He should have been back by.
I think in that situation, you know, we do want to think to play back. And that's why I was getting at having the single. He's got to come up a little higher than we would normally want him and be out a little bit and cover his box line and be able to help with the top box line if that guy has to move back. So the point is, this is another situation we could go on for a long time, but that conversation during the timeout, that's where that becomes very important. This should not be a timeout where you see 3 referees standing 40 yards apart, looking at their card, checking their watch, you know, looking at the time. They should be together. We should be telling the white coach, hey, be loud, be animated. We know you're going to probably want a timeout if you get the ball. So be ready. You know, and in high school, because they can call timeouts anywhere on the field, this is big. In college, it's not as big of a deal because he can't call the timeout. You know, he can call timeout if the ball goes out of bounds, but he can't call the timeout. So that's just one to think of. All right, let's see. All right, so this is all the stuff this is what I tell my crew. Hey, make sure we know White has a timeout. Okay. We need to be listening and looking. Have the trail come back a little bit, single play a little higher, cover the box. The trail official, before we restart, coach, I know you have a timeout. It's loud. If you get the ball and you think you call a timeout, you can come out on the field and get it. Okay, that's fine. I want to make sure that we do this right. Okay. if you're the off-ball guy, look at the benches and listen hard. So kind of position yourself to see the play, but catch that guy. So if the coach does, he streaks down timeout, we see him. And then, of course, the last thing is the most important. All right.
Greg, do we make sure that we remind Black coach that he doesn't have any timeouts?
That's a great point, Frank. Yeah. Let the black coach know he doesn't have a timeout, because you don't want to get in that situation where he's calling and he doesn't, but everybody else doesn't know he doesn't. And you're trying not to give him the timeout, and they want to know why, because that would be a turnover, because he's not entitled. So Frank made a great point, as usual. All right. So that's the end of those situations. And again, follow up on what George said. Think about these things. There's, if you have ESPN Plus right now, there's shit tons of lacrosse. Even some games that JP Bennett's doing are on there. So it's great.
Hey, Greg?
Yes.
Can you tell us what Frank said? Couldn't hear it.
So Frank said, make sure that we tell the black coach he has no timeouts before the restart. So don't just tell the white coach, hey, you have a timeout. I know you have a timeout. Make sure the black coach knows he doesn't have a timeout, so he doesn't try to call one.
The bench official in the playoff game, bench officials.
Before we get into Andrew, you might want to talk about and mention to everybody what the college mechanic is after a goal has been scored, where the single side runs in and gets between the two teams. That's a great mechanic, even if there's only two guys.
So if Frank brings up a good point, kind of go backing up to always looking. So you're the single side official. Okay. Goal scored, run right to where the shooter is. Okay. Get yourself in there. That's going to prevent a lot of stuff. It's also going to make sure you see all that stuff. Okay. And and a lot of times I'll call the goal and put myself in a position. So before I go get the ball, I'm going to watch for a second. So now we got 3 sets of eyes right there on the middle. Okay. I'm going to get the ball once everything's calmed down and go. Same and in two-person, that goal signal and that look should be even a little more, right out, right at the center. And make sure it's the trail that you're not, okay, we had a goal, I'm going to write on my card, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to back up. Did my wife text me? Make sure we're always looking. Okay. And in today's day and age, it's all on film. It's all on film. You don't want to be on no context lacrosse because you were doing something stupid and something really dumb happened and you missed it. You don't want to get called out that way.
And just to follow up with what you said, you come in, you signal a goal. If you're in a contentious game, you don't have to get that ball from the goalie right away. Drift out, get between the teams to make sure that nothing happens, and go back and get the ball.
And you can come to the top of the crease, you can pick a spot above the crease. If especially as a goal official, if stuff just happened right in front, a guy took a dive, he got hit, he landed, ended up in the crease, you got guys, there was one of, there used to be an infographic that we put out with US Lacrosse where the goalie guys literally like this, looking at like 4 players laying at his feet, but we're watching. Who's going to get up and shove the guy into the goalpost? Who's going to take latitude in that situation? And we don't want to give him that latitude. All right, all great points. All right, so our fitness guru, we're very lucky to have him, Andrew Holtz. Make sure we're talking loud near here. I'll click for you. Let me sit here and click. Oh, you want to?
No. I was gonna sit down.
All right, let me
I just
move
wanna
over
stay near
here.
the microphone. As long as I'm near the microphone.
No, I'll just move over here.
Can the Southern group hear me down there fine?
Yep, sound good.
All right. Real quick, not gonna take up too much time. I think I'm the last person to go. So we have this, you back that up one slide real quick? I'm sorry. Okay, I just make sure this beginning can change the color a little bit. All right. So just want to share some information. This information will be on the website. Been updated a little bit, but this will be on the website. Not gonna preach at you, I think.
Andrew, a little closer to the mic, please.
Andrew, step back here when you talk.
I think we all know the
Or sit down.
reasons, why we need to take care of our body, from physicians, media, et cetera. But specifically, when it comes to officiating, next slide, please. We just put together some information, top reasons to prioritize, obviously optimal performance, injury prevention, improve recovery, and just own it to the game. That transition of being in position, taking us to our benefits of at least prioritizing your conditioning. As Greg mentioned, we'll be doing some of these things on Saturday down at the all-day training, right, on the 7th. So we'll go through some of this stuff as far as practical hands-on, but we'll just run through this slide real quick. But again, the benefits there helps you with your officiating and movement. Greg uses the word that I like to refer to, which is your biomechanics. So that's going to keep you in position, and it's also going to help you reduce your injuries. All right, so that was something I stress with my clients. I work with a lot of people that are 55 and up, a lot of different senior type programs. But bottom line, this is also what I follow. And fortunately, I think officiating 20 years, I've missed less than maybe one game from illness or injury. So bottom line is this is what I subscribe to. Next slide's up. Kind of put together some pillars of the conditioning. Number one, you need to prepare, assess your needs. Again, I work in functional fitness. So that means we're looking at moving our whole body, not just doing machines and those type of programs, but moving our whole body specific to the activity that we're embarking upon. So whether it's day-to-day activities, or if you are someone that's a gardener, or if you're someone that's a football player, for us, we're lacrosse officials. So we kind of make sure we assess our specific needs. Then we need to build a foundation, prioritize planning it, need to maintain it, need to really focus on the recovery. Recovery is a big part of it. Don't skip it. It's not just sleep, it's your nutrition, it's stretching, it's other things you can do to just get your body ready to go. Again, we don't have a lot of numbers in the vocation of officiating from all sports, even lacrosse. So the bottom line is we work a lot of games. I know JP, Greg mentioned things throughout. So you break down, you start to get injured. So these are some of the things that are going to keep you on the field and at least, not breaking down as much or reducing those injuries. You got the sound nutrition. That's also part of the recovery. That's also part of fueling your body. And then pre-gaming, just making sure you have the proper things to set up for success. That's your nutrition. That's your warm-up, etc. Next slide, please. You want to look at this annually. It's not just wait till lacrosse season starts. I try to look at it from annual. I know Mark and I and some other people here have gone out and done some jogging, some running. Speaking of running, I think you mentioned an NFL official. Somebody mentioned NFL official. I started actually running a little bit more focused and outdoor on trails because of lacrosse. As I noticed after the first couple of years, my legs would just, especially tournaments, I'd have dead legs and I would have these small soft tissue situations like groin or a hamstring. And I noticed, well, I'm on a treadmill most of the time or something, kind of flat. So I started going out and running on fields just to prepare. That took me to trails. But the bottom line is make sure you're looking at it annually, have an off season, a preseason. In season, don't neglect stretching, bring the intensity down a little bit. Think about your volume of games, your occupation, make sure you're not overtraining. And then postseason, starting to get things cleaned up and get ready for the next season. Just put together a little sample of a short workout. These things do not have to be long work. You do not have to have long workouts. They don't have to be super intense. I was listening to a podcast the other night about, human performance and movement. Bottom line, we're designed to move. Most of us work in a situation now where we're pretty sedentary, and then exercise is like kind of another task. So even if you're just breaking things up throughout your day and just attacking a thing or two just to keep your body moving, but you got to have some type of squats, body weight squats, partial rep squats, chair squats, something to keep the hips activated, your core activated. You got to have some extension, flexion, bending, and standing. You got to have some total body strength. You got to work on your backside. So that's just a little quick sample of a workout. Then you also have the cardio part, conditioning your body. Kind of mentioned again, I go out and jog and run and so forth. So you have some sustained activity for cardio. That's going to give you your stamina. You also need to have some short interval type stuff where you're ramping it up, bringing it back down. It's going to have your body acclimated for those short bursts where you need to recover, make sure you're not sucking away. Back to the post-game, pre-game combination. Again, take care of your body. Static stretches are those long, regular stretches. Those are usually best reserved for after the workout, during the week, etc. After your games, dynamic stretches get you going, warming you up. They're short, just to loosen up the soft tissue and get the heart rate up.
Should dynamic be before and static after?
Yeah, dynamic ideally is what you're doing before, kind of immediate before, and within those 30 minutes. You can do some static, but that needs to be a little bit earlier in the day, maybe when you wake up or a couple hours before, and then come back to the dynamic before you get going with your game or activity or workout. I think we're ready for the next. Back to the nutrition. I think some of you see me always bring my kind of my man purse. It's a little bag. I got snacks and like all types of stuff, beverages. But please do not neglect your fuel, especially if you have different situations that you need to manage. You know, fueling yourself not only helps your body, it also helps your brain. That's where the mental issues start to come in. Sometimes you're starting to get tired, starting to run down on fuel, especially if you're working 9 to 5 all day. You may have not had lunch. I mean, had a meal since lunch. You're out there, you've had a lot of hours in between. You're starting to crash a little bit. So make sure you plan ahead. For me, peanut butter and jelly is my go-to. It's easy, it's quick. It lasts all day. You don't have to worry about refrigerating it. So I go through about during lacrosse season, I probably go through a loaf of bread a week just on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. No lie. Next slide, please. Again, we talked about the recovery, just a couple little things, just some examples of things you can do to take care of your body. That's a foam roller down there. You have some other ones that don't look as aggressive, but you have some foam rolling stuff, your mobility, static stretching, icing, meds, supplements, things like that, professional help if you need to go see some of my chiropractic, massage, stretch therapist, something like that. Next slide, please. And then I just put up there some additional resources. Again, this information will be on the website, and then we will put some of this to use on Saturday. We break them into our stations. Just to give you an example, a preview, stuff we've done before, but backwards, walking. Everybody can start with a backwards walk, transition that up eventually to a little shuffle jog, and then same thing going forward, same thing going sideways, and then being able to transition that so you never take your eyes off the play. So as long as you keep everything in front of you, regardless on how your body is moving, you should be able to see the play. So being able to move in those different directions in science, we call it the multiplanar, forward, sideways, backward, rotate. That's how the body's designed. See everybody Saturday at the station.
Thanks, sir. Okay, so just thank you very much, Andrew. This is very important. Andrew's helped me a lot. And I don't think I've missed, a game because of injury. I've worked through a lot of injuries I probably shouldn't have worked through, but I'm a whore. And quite frankly, sometimes you get to the point in the season when it's just you got to do it. Not for the money. It's because the game. You just figure it out. The one thing I will say is if you're at that point in your life, or you think you need a day off here and there, you can't go 4 or 5 straight days. Make sure once your schedule starts to fill up and you notice you've got long stretches, don't hesitate to block that day and just say I got to have a day off, physically. You don't have to admit it's because your wife won't let you work. Just say physically I can't. His stuff, there's a PDF up on our website now under this year's training resources with everything Andrew just talked about. Also, to go back to the goalie in the crease signal thing, there's no signal for it. The only thing with equipment type of stuff is holding a stick and pointing at it, which we don't really think you need to do. I would recommend, first of all, hey, we had a legal procedure. Be very loud and close to the coach that did it. We had a legal procedure. Number 42 entered the crease to play goaltender. That's a 1 minute.
And it's not properly
equipped goaltender. Okay. That's a 1 minute illegal procedure foul, whatever equipment foul. It's non-releasable, but it's not unsportsmanlike conduct.
Correct. Is it going again? Is it a personal foul though? Yes. Is it going to the 5 minutes?
It goes towards the 5 minutes. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So until they come up with a signal, I'll be honest, we spent a lot of time on it. I've seen it happen 2 or 3 times where legitimately a guy did that. And actually 2 of the times were in the summer when you usually play college rules where that's not a rule and the kids just didn't know it. And we actually just killed play and got the kid out of there and restarted again. Also, if you see it and the ball's in flight, you're going to hold up till the shot's finished. The ball's in flight for a shot, not a pass. Other than that, you're going to kill it and take care of it.
So the ball's in flight, you see it, it goes in, they're still serving.
They're still serving the penalty, but you're holding your whistle.
Personal foul.
Normally, it's going to be it's immediate stoppage. Okay, flag down, adjudicated. If the shot is in the air, we're not going to take the goal off the board. We're not going to give them that opportunity to do it to get out of a goal.
Greg, in that situation, shot on goal, ball goes in. Is it a dead ball penalty or is there still a face off?
I would say it's a live ball penalty because he did it during the live ball. Yeah. Yep. It's a good question. Lewis, anything for the good of the group? Any questions? Anything you want to discuss?
Thank you. Middle school rules, are they like, I'm new to this association, so are there different rules for the middle school?
Nope.
Yep, they play NFHS rules. A couple things in middle school is they play their timing is either 8 minutes start stop or 10-minute running. My recommendation is, and for consistency in the group, if they don't have a visible clock, the only option is running time on your watch. And don't F the kids. That you're getting a pretty good payday. For being out there. The other thing, it's a good question with middle school and JV. Sometimes they don't have enough players. So go with it. We waive the rule. You have to have 10 guys to start the game. So if they come out and say, we want to play 7-on-7, we're going to play 6-on-6, just make sure everybody understands how many players can be forward and all that. They still have to have a legally equipped goalie. You can't, if they don't have a legally equipped goalie, you can't turn a goal on its side and do that. Not in a DIAA Delaware school game. Okay. And the last thing with middle school is the famous fifth quarter. Okay. They're supposed to notify JP ahead of time if they're going to play a fifth quarter, which is a second game. If they approach you to do a fifth quarter, okay, you have to tell them you're going to pay for another game. Okay. And if both of you can't stay, they can't do it. All right. Because often JP's assigning 2 guys on a middle school game, and then they're branching quickly to be the third guy in a varsity game. Or both of them are going to do a varsity game. So often, with our situation, that's what happens. If you can't do it, just say no. Okay. If you do it and it wasn't on the schedule, immediately tell JP. But that should be, and make sure the coach understands, your AD's paying another, whatever it is this year, $82, $83, even if you're going to play 10 minutes. And please don't let them off of that, because then you make the next guy look terrible. Okay. That's our policy. Make sense?
I'm sure there's schools that do that often, but I had Smyrna probably 5 times last year. It was every time out there he asked her.
Yeah. And they know it. And we do also, when it happens, we notify the AD immediately. We don't just put it in. Hey, on the field, they asked for the fifth quarter. We're giving it to them. And then usually what happens, if they weren't supposed to do that, they're not going to do it again. Okay.
What is the format on Saturday? 20-minute running time halves?
I will get all that information to everybody. It wasn't totally clear to me.
Okay, and who's the administrator? Last year was McWigan, because it was that.
The administrator will be a man named Henry Little. Little Henry. This is being run by DE Turf. So they are the site administrators. So if you have issues,
Are they charging the schools,
I don't know.
but they're putting our bill out there?
But well, I made it clear to them that they're paying the bill. Which it's the same, if any school hosts a play day, that the school pays. If they sometimes they collect from the other school. I think they're charging a nominal amount, probably for us. They're gonna make some money off concessions. Hopefully they don't make money off of parking. Speaking of parking, I'll find out what the situation is. If they're gonna have an officials lot, make sure you park in that. And don't get a ticket.
Clothing, are we matching our partner or is everyone going the same clothes? You know?
Loans and jackets.
Let's
It might be seven.
Yeah.
It probably rained, snow showers.
So right now, and I'll send it out middle of the week, okay? We'll try to match each other, like all the fields, but it's very important you match your partners on your field, okay? So again, it's a scrimmage. Also, some of our applicants may not have their uniforms yet, so I may ask a few guys to bring some extra shirts. If they end up being the old 1-inch stripes, that's not a big deal. You know, sometimes maybe it's good to kind of let them know they're applicants and they haven't earned their stripes yet, or all their stripes. Bad dad joke, but I can't help it. All right. Anything else? Anybody here have a question, problem, situation? All right. Have a great day Saturday. Review Andrew's stuff. It's never too late, to get out and get a few good runs in, some stretches, get yourself situated. Make sure you stock up on your Tylenol, your Tiger Balm, all your other stuff, so you're ready to go when we start. Thank you. Have a great week.
Hey, Chris.
Chair that back. Hi, Mike. Did the little Mexican boy tell you to stop by tomorrow?
He called me twice during the meeting. Well, he told me stop by, he'd give me my check.
Yeah,